2021. It recognizes those who have distinguished themselves over a period of years and who have achieved a pinnacle position in their chosen profession. The recipient of the 2024 Alumni Achievement Award is Robert W. Nairn, class of '89. Robert Knox will present this award.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Robert Knox. I am a professor at the University of Oklahoma, along with Bob and Boomer Sooner. That's meant as a hello and a goodbye. And I'm here to present an award to your 1989 Juniata graduate, Dr. Robert W. Nairn. Before I go any further, I have to give credit where credit is due. It was 3 or 4 years ago that Bob's wife, Amanda, asked me to nominate him because it would mean so much to him to get this award. So we would not be here were it not for Amanda Nairn. Please stand up. Okay, the promo material that Sarah sent to me had some really technical notes. It said, Dr. Nairn leads research on biogeochemical and ecological processes contributing to the metal contaminant retention and mine drainage, blah, blah, blah. In layman's terms, Bob and his research team, of which I'm part, designed systems to treat mine water pollution. And I'd like to briefly highlight one of Bob's crowning achievements. It's his work up at the Tar Creek Superfund site in northeastern Oklahoma. It's the site of some abandoned lead and zinc mines. The lead and zinc were crucial to our efforts in World War I and World War II. So not long after EPA established the Superfund program, they punted on Tar Creek because of the enormity of this problem up there. So what I'd like to do is read you some actual quotes from the 5-year review of the Tar Creek site. One said, EPA concurs with the state's conclusion that the surface water conditions are irreversible. Then, the habitat limited aquatic community designation is applied to waters which will not support a warm water aquatic community. The Oklahoma Water Resources Board has stated in correspondence that these designations are due to the irreversible man-made damages incurred at the site. Now, Bob didn't fault the government for kind of punting on this because if you go up to Tar Creek, it is an enormous site, and it would take hundreds of billions of dollars to clean up the entire site back then. But the thing that really stuck with Bob was the irreversible damage characterization. He thought that was inappropriate to him as a scientist and as a citizen. And he thought, we can do something about this. And that's exactly what he did. He said, let's figure out what we can do. And that's what they did. Now this is where it gets a little bit weird. In order to convey the incredible achievements at Tar Creek, I'm going to enlist the help of 2 disparate characters. The first one is Mickey Mantle, and the second one is the North American beaver, scientifically referred to as, I know I'm going to butcher this, Castor canadensis. That's the North American beaver. So let me start talking about Mickey Mantle. As some of you, I can see the gray hairs in here, might remember Mickey Mantle. He played his entire career with the New York Yankees. He was one of the all-time great sluggers. Some people say he was the greatest pinch hitter of all time. Now, he was born in Spavinaw, Oklahoma, but he grew up in a place called Commerce, Oklahoma. Because of his incredible speed on the base paths and in center field, he was known as the Commerce Comet. Now, why do I bring up Commerce? Commerce, Oklahoma is in the middle of the Tar Creek Superfund site. It's not a pretty place. It's surrounded by these huge mounds of what they call mining chat and these broad expanses of these mill pond wastes. Beneath the ground, you're not gonna believe this, are some 300 miles of underground mines that are full of water. And that water is contaminated with lead, zinc, and cadmium. And when they stopped mining, they stopped pumping water and the mines filled up and the water started coming to the surface. And it trickles into a tributary to Tar Creek, which is a tributary of the Neosho River, which flows into Grand Lake. I hope I got that right. He'll tell you if I'm wrong. Now, the metal-laden water coming up out of the mines also has a lot of iron. I think people in this part of the country will relate to this. My limited chemistry background tells me when iron meets oxygen, you get rust. So all the water in Tar Creek is bright orange. Nothing lives in Tar Creek. That is, until Bob Nairn got involved. So the people up in northeastern Oklahoma are some of the poorest people in the entire state. They've been holding out hope for economic development. They've been told that someday they might have a Mickey Mantle amusement park. They're never gonna have a Mickey Mantle amusement park. The conclusions that I've just read to you from the environmental regulatory agencies were just another kick in the teeth for the people of Commerce, Oklahoma. Said they weren't gonna do anything. And you can't blame the residents of Commerce for becoming somewhat jaded, especially towards those professing to help them with their environmental problems. The one exception is Bob Nairn. In my nominating letter, I told the selection panel to contact the regular folks up there in the northeast corner of Oklahoma. Call the people in Commerce and Quapaw and Pitcher and Hardin and ask them, who is the one person they trust? And I knew the answer easily would be Bob Nairn, because I've been up there, I've seen him interact with people. He's the one person that told the citizens that he would help, and he did do that. So Bob and his research team, which I'm a part of, have designed, implemented, and continue to monitor 2 passive treatment systems up on Tar Creek. These systems collect that highly contaminated mine water coming up out of the ground, and then they use all natural processes to treat the water, just like Mother Nature would if we would let her. So they rely on renewable solar and wind and any power needs at the treatment system. That orange stained water is now turned to a more natural bluish green. And Bob Nairn has demonstrated to the people of Commerce that the irreversibly damaged can be successfully remediated. But what about our friend Castor canadensis, the North American beaver? This is my favorite part of this story. I don't need my notes for this one. Somewhat after Bob implemented the first treatment system and the water started clearing up, they noticed it stopped flowing. Now we need the water to flow. Well, it turned out beavers had moved in. I say that's Mother Nature telling you, you have done a wonderful job. Well, beavers aren't necessarily good for remediation, so now Bob and his research team have another environmental problem to deal with, those pesky beavers. You know, you've heard the term busy as a beaver. It's true, you can't just knock over beaver dams. Overnight they will rebuild them. So Bob is now working on a new technology. It's called a beaver deceiver. I will let him explain that to you. So I'm very proud and honored to be up here to introduce my good friend and my colleague for many, many years, Dr. Robert Nairn.
Thank you all for being here, and thank you so much, Dr. Bob, for that wonderful speech. If anybody's interested in beaver deceivers, we can talk about that over the beer later this evening. I was asked to keep my remarks to 5 minutes, so as a verbose and ivory tower academic, I prepared about 200 PowerPoint slides. Okay, well, I do ask that you bear with me, because I want to provide some context as to why today is just so meaningful to me. I'm one of 4 siblings born into a working class family in Steeltown on the Ohio River in western Pennsylvania. My dad, like every other kid's dad in Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, worked in the mill and my mom raised me and my 3 siblings. To us, the mill was always there. It would always been there, it would always be there. The sights and the sounds and the smells and the pollution of making steel kind of enveloped our lives. In January 1984, my junior year in high school, my dad, like so many other union steelworkers at that time, lost his job. The American steel industry was collapsing, and our family was part of that. And our lives changed dramatically. My mom went back to work after 30 years as a homemaker. My dad took part-time jobs, including becoming a park ranger at our local community park. I was fortunate enough to spend a lot of time outdoors with my dad growing up. And I remember sitting on a downed tree, taking a break while we were cutting firewood, and telling him that I had made my decision and I was going to finish high school. And I was going to stay home and get a job. And it helped my mom and dad. The mill wasn't an option for me, but I could learn a trade, and he had been a carpenter, and I found that was something honorable and I could do that. My dad was adamant. You're going to college. The conversation ended. So my senior year, I was set to attend one of the Commonwealth's fine regional state-supported institutions until I received a letter from a small liberal arts college nestled in the rolling hills of South Central Pennsylvania, inviting me to visit campus and take a scholarship exam, and I did. On a snowy midwinter day, my dad and I made the trek east up what at that time was 2-lane Route 22, all the way to Huntington, and I took the exam, and he drank coffee, and we headed home. And at that time, little did I know, and never would I have imagined how that day changed my life. Juniata offered me a scholarship, and I accepted. I walked onto campus that fall with a chip on my shoulder and a terror in my gut. I knew no one. I had no idea why the hell I was here. I was an imposter. But I maxed out my Pell Grants and my guaranteed student loans, and I persevered, and I became a Juniata graduate in 1989. And I really can't thank Juniata enough for seeing something in that working class kid from Western Pennsylvania, even when he failed to see it in himself. Juniata changed my life. My POE was environmental science, which allowed me to take multiple classes in several of the sciences along with the liberal arts. The influence of faculty like Bob Fisher, Todd Gustafson, Don Mitchell, Bob Washburn, Earl Kaler, and so many other talented Juniata faculty was very deep. Bob Fisher encouraged me to spend a summer at the University of Montana Flathead Lake Biological Station. It was my first trip west of Mississippi. Don Mitchell supported my semester internship at a Department of Energy National Laboratory on Long Island, New York, my first opportunity to see the big city. And Earl Kaler strengthened a lifelong love of history. Juniata faculty shaped my perspective on what is possible in life. After finishing, my colleagues at my first job at the United States Department of the Interior Bureau of Mines also deserve recognition. Bob Kleinman, Hank Edenborn, especially Bob Hedden, who inspired me to pursue a career focused on what we call today nature-based solutions. I loved my job at the Bureau so much that I quit. But I went back to practice. But my Juniata education had prepared me for lifelong learning. And at the Ohio State University, I worked with Bill Mitch, who is a globally renowned wetlands scientist. I thank Dr. Mitch. I completed one of the first dissertations of what's called the Olentangy River Wetlands Research Park. And almost unbelievably, just this month submitted 2 manuscripts based upon 30 years of soil development at that site. So we're still working with folks at Ohio State. I want to thank my OSU wetlanders, Doug Stewart, Karen Wise, Renee Wilson, Paul Wyhe, and so many others. My Juniata education gave me the confidence to really excel in my profession. I took the faculty position at the University of Oklahoma as my first post-PhD job, a stepping stone, maybe stay for a year or two and move on. And that was 27 years ago. I've never had a chance or never had a reason to leave OU. I never found a reason to go anywhere else. My colleagues, like Bob, are truly outstanding. My students, even more so. And they've made Oklahoma my home. I Along with Dr. Knox, I teach the environmental capstone, senior capstone experience, in which we try to address real-world problems with a local client. Several years ago, we studied animal waste issues at a small nonprofit zoo near Norman. The assistant director of that zoo was the woman who was to become my wife. Not to get overly romantic, but it was that manure that brought us all together. My Juniata education helped prepare me for life as a husband and a father, the most precious jobs that I'll ever have. I want to sincerely thank those of you that are here, came here today to be with me. Dr. Bob Knox, my faculty colleague, my former boss, my sounding board, my very good friend, thank you. Linda, thank you for being here too, and thank you for putting up with Dr. Bob. My JC brothers from a different mother, Jim Tofano, and Steve Allen, thank you. Your lifelong friendship may be the greatest gift I carry with me from Juniata. I don't have time, nor do I have legal authorization to mention much about the sin pit, sale of beer god, the grill couch, FOH with the dirt bags, and I'm sure we'll find some time to reminisce this evening. And most deeply, thank you to my family. Joe, my brother Bear, the first in our family to go to college, and the other Dr. Nairn. Thank you for always being there for me, and from lawn jockeys to mulligans. Terry, thank you for being here, and thank you for being part of our family. My sisters, Helen and Mary Ann, the girls as they were called in my family, your silliness, better referred to as blivitish boredness in our family, was always something I could rely on when I needed it, and thank you for everything, including the massive zucchini. My daughter Maria, you're the most amazing human being I've ever met. Watching you grow up into the woman you are today has been truly extraordinary, and I have no words. I'm so looking forward to everything you be and everything you do, and watch you change the world. And thank you for learning to cut my hair during COVID. And that zookeeper with the manure problem, my lovely wife Amanda, you are the most intelligent and caring woman. I have no idea how you put up with me, but I thank you from the bottom of my heart. You're sweet to me, and I must be the luckiest man alive. You are the joy of my life. And my mom and dad, I'm so very proud to be your son. I wish I could hug both of you today, but I know you're here. Thank you.
Congratulations, Bob. The Young Alumni Achievement